Hello and welcome to our channel. We're going to tell you a story. My name is Emily, and this story takes me back to when I was just 15 years old. It was the beginning of autumn, and the air was filled with the scent of falling leaves. I had just returned to school after the summer holidays, and everything felt ordinary until that one day. That morning, I was sitting in my usual place by the window. I loved watching the wind play with the trees outside. My best friend Sarah was telling me about her trip to the beach when the door suddenly opened. Our teacher, Mrs. Claire, walked in with someone new. "Class, we have a new student today," she announced with a smile. "His name is John." John stepped into the room, and for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. He had soft brown hair that curled a little at the ends and bright blue eyes that looked kind and curious. He was wearing a simple blue hoodie, and he smiled nervously at the class. That smile, it felt like sunshine in the middle of a cold morning. "Go sit next to Emily, Mrs. Claire said, pointing to the empty chair beside me. My heart began to race. He walked over and sat down next to me. I tried to stay calm, but I could feel my cheeks getting warm. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi," I whispered back. That was the beginning. From that day, everything changed. John was different. He wasn't loud or proud like some of the boys at school. He was quiet, thoughtful, and always ready to help others. He helped an old teacher carry books, he returned a lost wallet he found in the hallway, and he always said thank you and please. We started talking during class breaks. I learned that he had just moved from another city because his father got a new job. He didn't have many friends yet, and that made me feel special because he chose to talk to me. One day, we sat on the school bench after lunch. The wind was cold, and I pulled my scarf tighter around my neck. "I miss my old home," John said. "Everything here is so new." I nodded. "It takes time, but I'm glad you're here." He looked at me and smiled again. "Me too." That moment stayed in my heart. Over the next few weeks, our bond grew stronger. We studied together, laughed at silly jokes, and shared secrets we didn't tell anyone else. I told him about how I loved writing poems, and he listened carefully, even when I thought my poems were silly. He told me about how he used to play guitar with his brother, and how he missed him. One afternoon, it started to rain heavily. Everyone ran for cover, but John and I stood under a tree, laughing as the water soaked our clothes. He looked at me, his eyes shining with something I didn't yet understand. "You're the first real friend I've made here," he said. I felt the same, but I was too shy to say it. Sometimes I wondered if he liked me the way I liked him. I would watch him when he wasn't looking, and my heart would flutter when he smiled. But I never said anything. I didn't know if he felt the same, and I was scared to lose what we already had. One day, near the end of the school term, he brought me a small notebook. "I know you like writing," he said, "so I thought you might want to write your own stories." It was a simple gift, but I held it like it was made of gold. That night, I wrote my first story in it about a girl who met a boy in the rain and didn't know she was already falling in love. But things began to change. Sarah, my best friend, started to notice how much time I spent with John. One day she asked, "Do you like him?" I froze. "I don't know," I replied. She looked at me for a long moment. "Just be careful," she said. "Feelings can be tricky." I understood what she meant. At 15, everything feels new and big and confusing. But I couldn't stop thinking about him. The last day of school before the winter break came too soon. We all exchanged gifts and hugs. John gave me a handmade bookmark with a tiny red heart drawn in the corner. "It's not much," he said, "but it's from the heart." I smiled. "It's perfect." As I walked home that day, holding the bookmark in my hand, I knew one thing for sure. I was in love, but I didn't know if he felt the same. I didn't know what the future would bring. I just knew that meeting John changed me, and this was just the beginning. Winter break came and went, but my feelings for John stayed in my heart like a secret flame. I didn't tell anyone, not even Sarah. I wasn't ready. I didn't even know if John thought of me that way. When school started again in January, I looked for him in the crowd, and there he was, smiling, waving at me, his blue eyes still just as kind. My heart felt warm. "Happy New Year," he said, handing me a small paper crane. "I made it myself," he added. "It's for good luck." I held it carefully, smiling. "Thank you, John. I love it." We spent more time together in the new term. It was like we had our own little world, sharing lunch, laughing over silly things, and walking home when the sky was full of stars. Every time he was near, I felt safe and happy. But even the sweetest moments don't last forever. One cold Friday afternoon, John seemed different. We were sitting in the library. Usually, we joked and whispered between pages. But that day, he was quiet. "Is everything okay?" I asked. He nodded slowly. "My dad might get transferred again. Maybe to another city." I felt like someone had pulled the floor out from under me. "When?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Maybe in a few weeks. Nothing's sure yet," he said. "But I wanted to tell you first." My chest tightened. I wanted to say something, anything, but I just stared at the book in front of me. I didn't want him to go. That night, I cried into my pillow. I didn't even know why it hurt so much. Maybe because I never got the chance to tell him how I really felt. A few days later, he handed me another gift. It was a small photo of us, taken during the school's culture day. We were both smiling. On the back, he had written, "Some people come into your life and change it forever. Thank you for being that person for me." Tears filled my eyes when I read it. Was he saying goodbye already? I decided I had to tell him. I couldn't let him leave without knowing. So the next morning, I asked him to meet me behind the old music room after class. My hands were shaking the whole day. My heart raced. What if he didn't feel the same? What if it ruined our friendship? But I had to try. He arrived right on time, looking curious. "What's up?" he asked. I took a deep breath. "John, I like you," I said. "Not just as a friend. I've liked you since the first day you walked into class." He looked surprised, but not in a bad way. "I was scared to tell you," I added, "but I didn't want to miss the chance." "Not if you're really leaving." He was silent for a moment. Then he smiled, the soft, gentle smile I loved. "Emily," he said, "I like you too. I've liked you for a long time, but I didn't want to make things awkward between us." My eyes widened. "Really?" He nodded. "Really." We stood there, quiet, smiling like fools in the cold air. And just like that, my heart felt lighter. But happiness sometimes walks beside sadness. A week later, John gave me the news. His family was moving in 2 days. I felt crushed, but I didn't cry in front of him. We promised to stay in touch, to write letters and messages. He promised he'd never forget me. On his last day, he hugged me goodbye. "Thank you for being my first love, Emily," he whispered. "No matter where I go, I'll carry this in my heart." I watched his car drive away, holding back tears. The road felt emptier after that. School felt dull. I missed him every single day. We wrote letters in the beginning, long ones, sweet ones. I kept them all in a box under my bed. But slowly, as time passed, the letters became fewer. Life got busier. Exams came. New things happened. He moved again. And then again. Our contact faded, like writing in the sand washed away by waves. Years passed, but I never forgot him. Not when I turned 18, not when I started college, not even when I had other friends, other moments, and other dreams. Because John wasn't just a boy I liked. He was my first love. And some things stay with you forever. One spring morning, 5 years later, I was walking through a bookstore when I heard a familiar voice. "Emily." I turned, and there he was, John. Older, taller, still with the same blue eyes and soft smile. For a moment, we just looked at each other. "I can't believe it," he said. "It's really you." We sat in a nearby cafe and talked for hours. About life, about school, about everything and nothing. And then, He reached into his wallet and pulled out something small. It was the paper crane. "I still carry it," he said quietly. "You were my first real friend, my first real love, and no matter where I went, I never forgot you." Tears welled up in my eyes. "I never forgot you either," I whispered. Maybe we couldn't go back to being those two young teens who laughed in the rain, but we could smile at the memories, because true first love never really ends. It stays in your heart like a beautiful chapter, soft, shining, unforgettable. And sometimes, if you're lucky, life gives you a chance to turn the page together again. I hope you enjoyed this story. Have you ever experienced? Share your stories with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories and adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.